Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast. What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. He's a statistician to the stars. His name is Padawan J.
Well, let me talk to you.
And boy, we have a lot to talk about in the land of movies, TV, comics, and more. You are tuned in to the entertainment edition of the ODPH, and we definitely would like to keep those conversations rolling after the show. So, Pad, where's everybody going?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Check out the social media links. Seeing subscribers going up left and right. So thank you very much for joining the Parlay of Topics. Check out the TeePublic Store link. Check out the blogs. Check out the directory. Pat, how many providers are we on?
673,084.
Statistician stars for a reason, and your source is?
Trust me, bro.
Exactly. So wherever you listen to the ODPH on, thank you for checking us out, and make sure to leave a review on your favorite podcatcher. It definitely helps the algorithm. Check out the classified section, which has such friends of the show, such as 3FM Podcasts, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, and many more. Last but certainly not least, a fantastic music section with such musicians as Brian Wolf and the Howlers, Second Suitor, Tom Jolu, Floodlands, Shout Out the Robots, all fantastic people that you definitely need to go support, especially if you get a chance to go check them out live. We know Tom's playing out. Brian Wolf is doing a tour, I believe, this summer. So you definitely want to make sure you're bookmarking where you can find them and definitely tell them if you heard their music on the ODPH. And they'll say, hey, that's awesome. And they'll get that conversation rolling with you. For anything else I might have forgotten, because we do a lot of stuff here at the ODPH, it's ODPHpodcast.com. And remember, on social media, if you're using hashtags, why not use the hashtag ODPHpod? Kicking off this edition of the show, and honestly, we talk about a pop culture moment.
Yeah.
This has been one that has been highly anticipated. It shut down everybody on Tuesday morning this past week, because if you got up at 7 a.m. for the live coverage beginning, you had to wait a little bit. But we all knew this was going to happen, and they lived up to the hype, in my opinion. Pad, what are we referring to?
We're referring to the first ever teaser trailer for the upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe film, The Fantastic Four: First Steps, coming in theaters July 25th.
Yes, the long-awaited return of the first family of Marvel Comics to their cinematic universe.
Fourth time's the charm.
Well, we have to remember this is the time that the rights were at 20th Century Fox.
True.
And this was not the MCU that we know and love now.
True.
Everybody that had movie rights was either at Sony, like Spider-Man, Fox, and other studios, until finally everybody started piecing it all back together.
Yep.
And the Fantastic Four was the last domino to fall. I mean, we do know that they've had other movies in the past that have been, for what they were, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, the first two that came out were very well received, more so.
For their time, yeah.
For their time. And
you watch them now, they might not hold up as well.
Oh, exactly. And then we don't talk about the last one that came out, I believe it was in 2015.
2015, yeah.
I tried blocking that one out for reasons, folks.
Where, if memory serves, that one was supposed to be coming out, and then it was Fox that had the rights to this, right?
Yes.
Instead of bringing that to Comic-Con, and I'm talking San Diego Comic-Con, not New York, not any other Comic-Con, the granddaddy of them all, San Diego. Instead of bringing that to the con, which hindsight kind of says a lot now.
Yeah.
But at the time it was puzzling. They brought Let's Be Cops to their big convention panel instead of the Fantastic Four movie, where it's like, hey, we promise we won't screw this up a third time. Spoiler alert, they did.
Well, you have to remember, the Fantastic Four is a very tricky franchise to do on the big screen.
Sure.
However, though, if you've listened to the show long enough, we've always said they are tailor-made for Disney.
Yeah.
And I think Disney did a test run with The Incredibles.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to think about it, when they did the animated film.
Yeah, back in the first one came out in 2006. Yeah.
That kind of gave the teaser that
at least
maybe...
inspired by.
Well, I'd say definitely inspired by. That kind of gave the blueprint that the audience could work. I mean, granted, we're talking animation to live action.
Sorry, 2004.
All right, but still.
Yeah.
The point being is that really show the Disney audience that, superhero families can work.
Written and directed by the incredible Brad Bird.
Mm-hmm. So when they finally got the rights back, and granted, there's been a lot of history on it, and I don't want to dive into the past because, honestly, it is the past for a reason. When we knew this was going to come over to Marvel, everybody was anticipating the casting.
Mm-hmm.
And John Krasinski and his wife, Emily Blunt, would they be the perfect Reed and Sue?
Who were tied to that role even before the rights came back to Marvel.
Yes.
That had been popular fan casting for years.
Oh, yeah, completely. And even to the point where Krasinski made an appearance in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, teasing it more. And granted, I thought he did fine for that time period and for what it was. And it gave everybody that fan moment.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But Marvel wanted to do something different with this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And we did see that they went in and casted everybody that I don't think anybody had really on their radar.
Probably not.
For this. Which
probably not.
It made, which I love that they went kind of away from what everybody was thinking. They had their own vision of what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they ran with it because first and foremost, in the title role of Mr. Fantastic, the leader of the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards is going to be played by the one and only Pedro Pascal.
Who?
Mandalorian, The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah.
Game of Thrones. Yeah. The list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, you might have heard of him. Mm-hmm. Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
More recently.
That is a thing.
Yeah.
I have feelings about Gladiator too. So
I have not seen it yet. It's on the list.
I'm leaving that one alone. Playing Sue Storm, Vanessa Kirby.
Well, you might know it was Princess Margaret in The Crown, was Martha in Pieces of a Woman, the White Widow in Mission Impossible Fallout. Mm-hmm. Great in the Crown, I gotta say. If you haven't seen The Crown, watch The Crown.
Oh, absolutely. Perfect
Fantastic show.
Perfect casting there.
Yep.
Playing her brother, Johnny Storm, a.k.a. the Human Torch. Joseph Quinn, who I think everybody knows as Eddie from Stranger Things.
Yep. Was in Eric in A Quiet Place Day 1. Was Grunauer in Overlord. Also in your favorite movie of all time, Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
Emperor Geta.
I know it completely blows my mind about the connection between Gladiator 2 and this film, but it is
all roads lead to Rome.
Yeah, it definitely does. And then last but certainly not least, playing the heart and soul of the team
and the chef,
the ever-loving blue-eyed thing, Benjamin J. Grimm, Ebon Moss Bachrach, who we do know from The Bear, and perfect casting here.
Also might know him was Desi Harperin from Girls. Was Sebastian as Guy in the short film Tokyo Project. Was John Quincy Adams in John Adams. Also was David Lieberman in the Punisher TV series on Netflix.
See, I forget about that show. You know, like, I shouldn't say I forget about that, but you think about the transition.
The finer details, escape us.
Yeah, because
we remember it was a thing, and we remember, the title roles and some of the main characters, but the finer details escape us.
Well, the one thing about this, and this kind of ties into the Fantastic Four, is we do know these characters pre-MCU, and the Netflix show definitely is, and it's been so long since we've seen John Bernthal's portrayal of Frank Castle that it's kind of outside of mind who was in that show.
Well, and also I can't speak for you, but I can speak for myself. I haven't seen any of Punisher since it first aired, and then we talked about it.
Yeah, no, same.
So
here.
it's been 5 years, 6 years, I think, at this point.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
but now with the casting, there has been much anticipated about when we're going to see a real trailer. San Diego Comic-Con this past year teased a little bit, and we did know about more casting, especially who is going to be playing Galactus and Silver Surfer in this film, and it's been more or less anticipating and really hyping up the fans because we do know this year Marvel Studios is coming back in a big way. Next week, as we record, Captain America: Brave New World drops.
Oh, baby.
We do know Thunderbolts is coming out.
Yep, very soon.
Yep. Daredevil Born Again
very soon
is coming to Disney Plus. So Marvel is gearing up, but this is the one that everybody had been waiting for because of the classic team that's involved. Because if you're not familiar with the Fantastic Four, I mean, they're iconic characters of the Marvel Universe.
They're known as the first family of Marvel for a reason.
Exactly.
It's not a moniker. Well, it is a moniker, but it's not a moniker in the sense you might think. It's not just a title. It's literal.
Yeah. But to see Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's creations hit the big screen in this manner, we definitely were waiting to see what Marvel / Disney was going to do here. And we have a lot to talk about it. So if you're new to the ODPH, first and foremost, thank you again for checking us out. What we like to do is give you a spoiler-free statement about what we're going to be discussing. Then we give you a countdown. After said countdown, we deep dive into spoilers. So you are fair warned if you need to jump out, pause the episode, watch, and jump back in the conversation, or say, hey, I've seen it, I'm ready to talk about it, let's go. So that said, Pad, give me your spoiler-free statement on the teaser trailer to the Fantastic Four First Steps.
Thought it was a great trailer. You know, it definitely gives the vibes as we've seen from the posters and kind of some of the teases and, you know, the set photos that have been leaked online, you know, that it's got that 60s vibe. And I dig it. You know, it's something different. It's something unique. It's kind of its own little thing. You know, it's one of those ones that if you got a friend who has been hesitant to jump into the Marvel stuff because there's 20 plus movies at this point, I don't got the time, you know, or, you know, the ability to sit and watch through all those movies over the course of blah, blah, blah. This is one that, hey, you know, you ain't got to know anything. You can go into this blind. It looks like it's not going to be a solid origin movie. It looks like they're going to be already established, but it will touch on, hey, here's how this happened. You know, but I'm excited to see it, and it looks really goddamn good.
Yeah, this one I thought they nailed what they needed to with the Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, they're a very tricky and quirky team, but they work, and especially with the creative minds that have taken them all over the cosmos and beyond in the Marvel Comics universe.
Yeah.
Doing one of their adventures on a big screen can work, but you have to have the right vision for it. And I think for doing what they're doing here, this was a lot different than what we've seen previously in the MCU. This had a very fresh take on it, but it was very, very retro.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, as a comic reader that has read the older stuff by Kirby and Lee, and you know, really dived into like what made these characters who they are, this hit the home run for me.
Mm-hmm.
So to see how it played out, I like how they teased a few things.
Mm-hmm.
We did get enough to know where this is all leading to.
Mm-hmm.
However, they didn't unveil the full hand,
right?
Which I was hoping they didn't. And I know there's been a lot of back and forth online speculation about it. And listen, this is the only thing I'm going to say is we get mad when trailers reveal everything.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
So if they want to hold back on a few things, I'm fine with it. Because they gave us the one thing I was waiting to see, and that is the Eater of Worlds.
Yeah.
And they gave enough that I said, okay, I'm in about this.
And we got to also remember, too, they've got to really play this smartly because this film is coming out in a loaded month of July. Just to name a few, this also coming out in the month of July, besides this film, you've got Superman from James Gunn and then the folks over at DC. And then from the folks over at Universal, you've got the new Jurassic World movie coming out at the like within 3 weeks of each other or something. I'll look up the actual dates, but it's something insane like that.
Yeah, but for Marvel, this is one of their most prized possessions.
Oh, yeah.
They were going to go, and they have to deliver on it. Like, they need to swing for the fences, and I feel from what we saw here, they're on the trajectory for
absolutely.
it. I felt a lot better about this than the 2015 movie. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
And I think this was a little more closer to the source material than the Jessica Alba movies.
So the Jurassic World Rebirth film comes out July 2nd of this year. Superman comes out July 11th. And then this one obviously comes out July 25th. Mm-hmm. So all within the same month.
Yeah, which I mean, it's nothing against those Jessica Alba movies too. I'm blanking on. Chris Evans was part of that.
Yep.
And see Michael Chiklis, and I'm completely blanking on who was playing Reed Richards at the time. But either way, like they really gave a good swing. Mm-hmm. I thought they hit, if we want to talk baseball terms, they hit a double with it.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But I don't think that was the home run. Like this one,
like the actual cast of the Fantastic Four were good. The one that was the issue, and this is the one that, at least for me, you can't really screw up on, is the villain. And they cast Julian McMahon as Victor Von Doom, and like. He's a good actor, don't get me wrong, but like for the the main big bad of this quote unquote universe, because nobody was really doing shared universes when the first film came out in 2005, nor were they doing it in 2007. I think we got to remember. I think the first Iron Man was still a year off from when the second film, Rise of the Silver Surfer, released. So at this point, it was its own thing. It was its own universe. So when you're doing the Fantastic Four, ask any level of comic book fan who their big bad is. Everyone's going to say Victor Von Doom. You know, there might be some other ones that get mentioned. Oh, well, they've got X, Y, and Z. But the first one everyone's going to mention, Victor Von Doom. And for as good as the rest of the cast were, they missed the mark with Doom. And that's just something you can't do with a franchise like Fantastic Four.
Well, they just tried too hard in that area.
Sure.
And Owen Grunfeld.
Yeah.
Or Grunfeld. He is the one who played Reed Richards.
God, Kerry Washington was in that movie. I forgot about that.
You forget about
Kevin McNulty. Holy cow.
Yeah, like
I haven't seen this movie in a while, so that's why I'm kind of shocked right now.
Oh, I know. Like I say, to go from that point to, like I say, 2005 to now.
Yeah.
We're talking 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
And you know what?
How much of not just comic book movies, but movies in general changed?
Oh, yeah, completely. So, like I say, for the time period it was what it was, it gave a solid benchmark.
Yeah.
But I think that this now really captures the essence of the Fantastic Four. Love them or hate them, this is what a true Fantastic Four movie should feel like.
I always hold, the original two films like a little special place in my heart just because at the time I thought they were great. And I still think they're at least decent nowadays. They don't hold up as well if you watch some of the more modern stuff. But I always hold a special place in my heart for them just because I remember, especially on like a Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon, you're flipping channels, there's nothing on TV. You might run into one of those two movies on FX. And that it might be on like an afternoon, sitting there, you got a popsicle in hand, you're with the window open, you're watching TV, just hanging out on a nice, cool summer day. So with those memories, I kind of like have fond memories, but listen, I know they're not the best.
No, they're not the best, but this one definitely has got a lot of upside to it. But let us jump into the spoilers because I think we're really going to go deep dive about this. So that being said, Pat, in 3, 2, 1, let's really talk about it.
Like I said, I thought the trailer was really good. I wasn't quite sure what to expect with this because let's face it, between the 3 movies that have come out in the last 20 years, on top of there was the television series from way back in the day, there's been 4 cracks at this with mixed results all the way around. So, hey, fantastic 4th time's the charms, on the big screen here. So I was going into it, a little nervous of like, listen, I trust Marvel. I trust Feige. I trust the powers that be. The gentleman directing this is Matt Shakman, who, if you don't know, directed 9 episodes of WandaVision, directed 1 episode of the TV series The Great, directed 2 episodes from Game of Thrones, and then directed 43 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So that dude's a home run in my book already. And then once they announced the cast, I was like, all right, this at least on paper seems good. Love Pedro Pascal. Vanessa Kirby, not too other than the Crown, not too familiar with some of her other stuff.
She was in the one Fast and Furious movie with Statham.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Hobbs and
Shaw. Yeah. Yep. And then the other actors, not too super familiar with them. So I was like, all right, we'll see what we got. Again, with as many times as they've tried to crack the nut that is a successful Fantastic Four movie, I was reserving judgment. Like, I got to see a trailer. And with everything they showed with this trailer, and like you said, it's not much. It's just, hey, here's the characters. Here's kind of what they're going through at this point. We know who the big bad is going to be. That's not a secret. It's been well known for a while now that Galactus and Silver Surfer are going to be in this film. So that wasn't a shock to me. But to actually see Galactus, or at least his shadow in the back of his head, and see he wasn't a cloud in space, I went, oh, thank God. But to see that, and I'm like, all right, I've seen enough. I'm on board.
Well, I think the powers that be, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they understand what's at stake.
Oh, yeah.
Because if this flops for whatever reason,
oh boy,
they're not coming back from this one.
Nope.
I'm not going to say this completely sinks the MCU, but I'm going to say it's going to do a lot of damage.
It won't help it.
But for what we see here, I thought they nailed the vibe.
Yeah.
And from the opening start, because we open up to the Baxter Building, looking over the skyline in New York. I'm going to be honest, this reminded me of the Jetsons.
A little bit. Yeah, it definitely inspired by
the old school cartoon. Like, this just had this futuristic retro vibe to it.
Well, and especially the open of the trailer is in that like old school TV format where you got the black bars on the side.
Yeah.
Love that.
So you do see at this point, Reed and Sue are walking off the elevator with a gentleman. And we're not sure who that is, but I'm going to make a very bold speculation.
All right.
I think that's their mailman, Willie Lumpkin.
Okay.
Who I know the late, great Stan Lee played in the Jessica Alba movies.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to be honest. Like, I think that's him because it's like, it's interesting they're inviting somebody up to their penthouse or one half of the Baxter building and explaining their whole routine if it's not going to be somebody that's always there.
See, the way I took it was they're getting ready to be profiled because obviously, they went up in space. They've got their powers. From what we've seen in the trailer, that's already been established. So we may get a glimpse of that. I don't know if we're going to get the full 30-minute, exposition of how that happened at the start of the movie. If we do, fine. If we don't, okay. I'm cool with it either way. But to me, it struck me as, he's a news reporter for a television studio or a news station or a magazine, like a Time magazine or something like that. Because Reed Richards, as we know, down the road, at least in the Marvel Comics universe, once they get rolling, Reed Richards is one of the most brilliant minds on the planet and is known the world over. Mm-hmm. So it could be he's on his way there, and at least this is how I took it, and that this is a reporter coming over to just kind of get the early vibes of all right, what's the family do? What's the family about? Before we come in and we do the full interview.
I mean, it's either that or it's Sergis O'Houlihan.
Ooh.
Who, like I say, there's been so many characters over the years.
Yeah.
With the Baxter building. Like I say, I could feel it. I could sense that being their doorman, too.
Right.
But, I mean, you could be right. It could be an expose piece. We don't know. But they are explaining everything about welcome to the Baxter building. We make a point to have a family dinner. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of walking around, and they're treating this very, very... family-oriented and very grounded for what they're all considering. And they're explaining about the importance of the family dinner.
It's 7 o'clock on the dot.
Yeah.
We're all here.
And then we get the outside shot of the Baxter building.
Which is very interesting.
Yes.
Very sleek, very modern.
It is. So at this point, they're already established as the world's greatest superhero team. Mm-hmm. So this is now fully sunk into this timeline.
Yep.
So as they expand out, we do see a character that some may not be familiar with, and that's the robot Herbie. Mm-hmm. And that is a very, very classic Fantastic Four character, a robot that was built to be an assistant to Reed and the family.
Made his first appearance in September 1978.
Yeah. So seeing Herbie on there, I marked out for a little bit. That's a classic moment. And we see there is a voice that's yelling for him, and that's the one... Ben Grimm, who's asking about how he's cooking the sauce. Mm-hmm. And we do see a very wholesome moment, I guess we could say.
Yep. He's like, I'll be the judge of the sauce.
Yeah. And I love the costume.
Yeah, practical costume. It ain't CGI.
Yeah, no CGI here, so that is incredible.
Looks
they did this.
Very good.
Yep. So I love the whole sequence, and you can definitely tell, the heart of Ben Grimm. Mm-hmm. As he's making the dinner, the rest we only see Reed and Sue there, as they're watching him mess around with the sauce, and he says he wants more, a couple cloves of garlic to add a little zip to it, but it's perfectly fine.
Not because it's not delicious.
Yeah. So that's kind of a fun moment to kind of kick things off with. Then we open up to where Reed is looking at what is presumably his blackboard, and he's now working on a formula.
Yep.
Now, we don't know what this is.
I guarantee you there's some Harvard student somewhere analyzing this thing, trying to figure out what it is.
Well, the only thing that people have been picking up online, and if you look over Reed's back,
looking at it, there
is a bridge that does faintly say, if you want to close in on it, multiverse.
So,
there at least it's very faint. You have to really, really close up on it. But you can see, so what does this mean? We don't know. Not going to speculate too much.
Right.
But it is something to keep in mind. So Reed is sitting there using his brain, which is his true superpower. Then they do a quick flashback to when the original four were going up in space. And you obviously during this time you're hearing Reed and Sue are having a discussion about, this trip. And Reed, you can definitely tell the guilt in his voice for what has happened.
Because he says, before we went up the first time.
Yeah.
You weren't invisible. Ben wasn't a rock.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's a lot of guilt there.
Well, I mean, obviously, because he is the cause of what happened to Ben Grimm. So we do see Vanessa Kirby's character fade out. We do see a little shot. I'm pretty sure that's the Yancey Street gang that is running away from Ben Grimm.
Would make sense.
As he walks in front of a TV store and sees a lot of TVs going, which they're replaying the old footage of him when he was human, and how they kind of have the little playoff words because he was, he's Reed's best friend.
And I love the fact that they've got Grimm in the trench coat and the hat.
Yeah,
such a classic look.
That's perfect. Like you could not do any better. Then we finally get a shot of Joseph Quinn playing Johnny Storm.
Yep.
Who he sits up and basically does the flame on
Yep.
as he's flying over the city. Now, we don't know why he's flying.
This is true.
So we have to kind of keep this in mind that there's a reason he jumped out there. Is there something they did not show us?
Probably.
That's a possibility. So we have to really keep this in mind because they do show him flying quite a few times, but we don't know why. So just something to kind of place in the back of the head. But we do see that Sue and Ben are having a discussion too, and then Sue walks in on Johnny, who's in his flight suit for reasons.
Upside down on a chair.
Yeah. Which, I mean,
Reasons.
yeah, it's complete Johnny Storm 101.
Yep.
But we do see him flying towards the moon at one point.
Yep.
They go back to an action shot of Sue Storm whipping out a force field.
Uh-huh.
And we do see this, and I've seen it online a few places, this Superman-esque vision of him flying over the horizon of Earth.
It almost looks like it's like, when you remember back in Man of Steel when Clark was first testing his flight ability. It almost looks like it's that, but for Johnny, that he's just really testing. He's like, all right, how far can I go? And let's not forget, he's not Reed.
Yeah.
He's not the smartest person in the room. He might forget there's not oxygen in space and you need oxygen for fire.
Yes.
So, ergo, his powers don't work in space.
Yeah. So, and during this whole while, you're hearing Sue Storm do the monologue about, like, whatever we do, we'll face it together as a family.
And then there's a shot of the skyline of New York City, and shit's kicking off.
Yeah, so, Pat, I want to see, what is your opinion of this moment?
I would like to think, and this is just my guess, that whenever Galactus arrives, or right before Galactus arrives, he doesn't exactly just show up and say, hey, guys. There's usually somebody who shows up beforehand.
Yeah.
No, a certain herald of Galactus, a certain Silver Surfer. I like to think that this might be Silver Surfer showing up in some fashion.
Yeah, I have to think this has to be Galactus showing up.
Okay.
Like, in some form.
I'm thinking it's Silver Surfer just because we see later in the trailer Galactus, with looking at the Statue of Liberty and the shadow, over the Manhattan itself. I like to think that's the first time Galactus shows up, and that's the moment where, like, you see it on big screen and you just go, oh, you know what? And that's during the daytime. That this is like a couple days, maybe a week or so before Galactus gets there, and Silver Surfer's like, hey, yeah, I'm just getting you all ready.
Yeah, see, I have to think that this is a Silver Surfer crashing into Earth.
Could be.
I know it's
crashing
kind of,
into satellites or something.
Yeah, I know it's a little more dramatic than normal for the Silver Surfer, but I could see this happening, especially if you tie it back to the original scene where Johnny takes off to fly first that we see him, because he's wearing the same outfit. So I want to say it ties in with that, and this is how he winds up flying into space.
Could be.
So that is my unofficial theory, that he will be chasing after the Silver Surfer.
That seems like something he would do.
Yep, who is played by Julia Garner. So we don't know how Shia LaBeouf, who is going to be this universe's Silver Surfer, is going to play out yet. So we have to keep this in mind, too, because I know that normally in the comics it's Norman Rad.
Right.
But they decided to flip it and make his love interest in the comics, Shia LaBeouf, the
Right.
Silver Surfer in this universe. It's the multiverse, folks. We're going to see a lot of this happening. So get ready for it. So as this plays out, we do see that kind of line break in there. And then we get a shot of kids watching from the ground.
Kids watching while wearing Ben Grimm merchandise.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, one kid's got a full costume, the mask and then the suit is supposed to make him look like he looks like the thing. Other two kids got it on as well, but they've got Ben Grimm shirts on. So obviously the Fantastic Four are doing very well for themselves.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, that's how they've always been. I mean,
Yeah.
they've been the original team that never had secret identities. They've always been who they are. They're very public, and it is...
Right.
I want to say that's the first Marvel celebrities in the MCU.
Sure, I can see it.
So then we go to a shot of somebody, and I'm going to say it's Johnny Storm by how they're driving.
Probably.
Somebody taking the Fantastic car out for a spin.
That's absolutely Johnny.
Yep. And then we get another shot of the Human Torch flying, but this is in daylight. So we don't know what's happening here, but keep in mind daylight when we refer to this.
Yep.
Then we get a shot of Ben Grimm running at somebody.
Full suit.
Yep, as you're seeing the world start falling apart around him. Same tying back into the same scene that Sue Storm had the force field. Try saying that 3 times fast. So this is all kind of playing out. They're showing different moments, but they're all tying together if you're really watching. Then we get a shot of a character that is heavily speculated to be the Red Ghost from the Fantastic Four lore. We do know the actor is the one and only John Malkovich.
Which is a hell of a casting. Gotta say.
Oh, completely.
Love it.
So the question that I'm going to ask you, Pat, is do you think he's the Red Ghost?
Maybe. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
I'm going to say this, and I know this is going to sound completely wild, I guess, to some. I think he's the Puppet Master.
Ooh.
And I know he doesn't look like it in this stage. Like Red Ghost. Red Ghost is a great guess.
He looks closer to Gandalf than he does anything.
Right. But I'm almost wondering, is this a situation where he was locked up and was set and now escapes because reasons happen? So I'm just going to stay to that I think that he is going to, wind up shaving his head and going in full Puppet Master mode.
Probably.
Because we do know Natasha Lyonne is cast as Alicia Masters. And we're waiting to see how this plays out. So I'm going to stick to my guns about that. But if he's Red Ghost, I'm not mad about that either.
No, I wouldn't be either.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm just going to say for speculation purposes. Because if, like I say, Red Ghost is a very cool character as well with his super ape army or group that he has. And like I say, they're a formidable foe to what is going on. To the Fantastic Four. So that said, but obviously, hashtag ODPH pod, I want to hear everybody's guesses about him too. And then we get the shot that I think really is selling everything, the shadow of Galactus overseeing New York City.
He's not a cloud.
He's not a cloud. And then him standing and watching the Statue of Liberty.
Still not a cloud.
Yep.
Please, I hope they make at least one cloud joke in this movie.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Just for the absurdity that was that choice to make Galactus, the Eater of Worlds, one of the largest figures in Marvel Comics history, a fucking cloud.
Yeah. Well, like I say, that kind of destroyed that franchise right there. So just saying. But then we get the shot finally of all four members in costume. And I'm not sure exactly where they're going or what they're doing here.
They're on, you know what it is? They're on TV. Because you know what this reminds me of? The Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Okay.
This is my guess, is that for whatever reason, this could be their first debut on television. Like, we could see a montage at the beginning of, like, them going up into space, getting the powers, training, and then, they debut. Because, like you said, they've never hidden their identity. They are who they are. This could be them going, like, people wondering, like, oh, who are these people? And this could be them going on this universe's equivalent of the Ed Sullivan Show and showing off their powers.
Yeah. I mean, it would be very cool to see, and I think that would make sense. So unless it was going to be something really weird, like they were going to be using that as like a transporter to go to another universe.
It doesn't look like it.
But yeah, like I said, that's the only thing I was kind of speculating.
Because the things in the background are all clearly arrows pointing to them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here's your focus.
So that is how the trailer wraps up. So a lot of stuff is happening here. We didn't see the Silver Surfer like we alluded to. John Malkovich's character is still wide open.
I like how the end of the trailer says, "Welcome to the family, July 25th, presented in Fantastivision."
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they did so much that made this feel like truly like a Fantastic Four, comic, which they needed to do. Like, if anybody was kind of curious about, like, the true essence, this is it. I mean, they're family first. I know we always make the Vin Diesel joke.
Family.
But in this situation, that's what they're based on. I know they didn't show the powers of Reed Richards.
Right. Do you have to at this point, though?
Exactly.
Between the movies, the various animated shows, the video games, hell, the Fantastic Four were like the featured thing in Marvel Rivals like a month or two ago. Do you have to at this point? I think everybody knows what Mr. Fantastic's powers are.
Well, plus I also think, like, too, if you really want to win over a pop culture audience, why would you show that?
Yeah.
His true power is his brain. If you read the comics, like, that's what gets him by. It's not him transforming into a bouncing ball. I mean, that's Plastic Man, which is perfectly fine.
Right.
That's him. But for Reed, you could have the stretching point, but it's him breaking down everything, making all types of gadgets and molecules and all the stuff he does. So I'm waiting to see how that kind of shapes up. But the only thing I can speculate that I feel is going to happen is, one, we're going to have Galactus show up, and we're going to see how Reed deals with this. But I'm going to make a bold statement. I think that they wind up losing that world, and that's why they escape.
Okay.
Because I think Reed won't be able to stop him this time.
Could be.
So he's going to escape. He's going to escape into a multiverse.
It would make sense, and especially with Doomsday and Secret Wars coming down the pike very, very soon. It wouldn't surprise me that they, you would think they hold off on that until, something down the road, and then they're like, oh, that's the big, first act of, the next Avengers movie or whatever. But it wouldn't surprise me if they expedite that process because of the way things are laid out schedule-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt Robert Downey Jr. makes a cameo, and
this
is how we explain his Doctor Doom following them to escape.
Could be.
So, I mean, that is that possibility, because I'm wondering if we're going to see him in this, or are we going to see somebody else just dressed up as Doom? Like, we're not going to see him with the mask off.
I think we might see him with the mask on, but we won't know it's Downey.
Yeah,
it'll be that like ambiguous, like, oh, who is it? Is it Downey? Is it somebody else that's this universe? They're going to leave that deliberately ambiguous.
Yeah, well, I think they have to. I mean, if they try doing too much with this, I think it's going to hurt.
Right.
Because we all know all roads lead to Doomsday.
Facts.
And Secret Wars. So it's just a matter of getting from point A to point B.
Right.
But I think for this film, they need to establish about why the Fantastic Four is important and great. I mean, if you haven't read their comics, the current run right now, I know we don't talk about it that much, has actually been amazing.
That's good.
So yeah, Ryan North is actually doing like real big things over there. And
nice.
when he kicks off the new crossover event that's going to be taking place, I'm expecting a lot of big things from that. But we have to kind of put this again in context, that they need to convince the pop culture audience that is now seeing 3 films that why this one matters. And I think they're going to, because one thing with the comic movies, if you can capture the essence of the comic, you're going to translate it. And I really feel they're going to. I think from the little bits we saw, I would have liked to seen, but I'm just being a greedy fan in this situation.
Sure.
A little Ben Johnny moment.
Sure.
Where they're busting each other.
Yeah.
I would have liked to seen that just to kind of solidify.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. We didn't see a lot of interaction between those two.
We really didn't get any talking points between any of the characters besides Sue and Reed, which makes sense. They're married.
Right. But we got the one with Sue and Ben, which has always been a key point.
Yeah.
Johnny has been on his own, but the only thing we know with Johnny...
He's a hothead.
Yeah. So he's flying after whatever. So that's why I say... that whole moment is building up for the Silver Surfer coming in, and then Galactus showing up, and then how does Reed stop it? And I don't think he does. I think that they wind up escaping because of that.
Could be.
And then we go from there.
The other thing I do know, because I was looking at some of the cast, the crew for this, the score for this movie is going to be fucking incredible, because composing the soundtrack for this film, Michael Giacchino, who, if you don't know, did all 3 movies for the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films, did all of the soundtracks for the Matt Reeves Planet of the Apes franchise, also did the soundtrack for the Batman, the Robert Pattinson movie, also did the soundtrack for Spider-Man, the Tom Holland films, also did the soundtrack for Rogue One. If you're not familiar with this guy, he's got 172 composer credits. One of the best composers there is in Hollywood today. So like I'm talking like that John Williams, Hans Zimmer level.
So you're saying he's done some work.
He's done a little bit of work. I guess, like I said, Michael Giacchino, that's Giacchino. Go look at his IMDb. It's almost, I'm not going to say it's at the same level of John Williams. It's almost John Williams level, where I dare you to look through that and not see a movie you've at least heard of.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot to talk about in between now and when the movie drops in July, but we have to recap this trailer with you, ODPH Society. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPHpod. What is your takeaways from the Fantastic Four First Steps first trailer? We want to know. We gave you our theories, but we want to hear yours. So hit us up. Let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder, and you better listen to the ODPH podcast, or I'm coming for you, and Batman is coming for you.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. It is an extended version of the one-shot. So, Pad, what you got?
Got a couple things to talk about. The first of which is we got the first official trailer for the upcoming Jurassic World Rebirth film, which is coming to us, like I mentioned in the last segment, later in July. This one, I was skeptical on when they announced they were doing another one, because I watched all of the Jurassic Park World movies last year. I ranked them on my Letterboxd, and I got to say, Dominion, the last one they did, easily the worst one they've ever done. I gave it 1 star. It wasn't good. So I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this, but then they announced some of the cast and I was like, all right, you know what? It's not bad. You've got Scarlett Johansson is in the film along with Mahershala Ali. Jonathan Bailey is in it along with Rupert Friend. All right. I'm like, all right, that's not bad. I know some of those names, and then the writers, obviously, when they mentioned David Coop, who was the writer on the original one, I'm like, okay, I like the original one. That's a good move. And let alone the director's Gareth Edwards, who you might know of having done Rogue One, among a host of other things. Some of those other ones being the creator, Godzilla, the 2014 film. And then he was also did the visual effects for the movie Monsters, among a host of other things. I was like, you know what? I like the director. I like the writer. Some of the cast is bad, so I'll wait and judge when I saw the trailer. The trailer, I mean, it's not bad. It's set according, and I'm looking at the Universal Pictures upload on YouTube, where it does say it is set 3 years after the Jurassic World trilogy concluded. Actually, sorry, it's 3 years for the film. It is 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion. So it's taking place after that. The trailer, it's not bad. It's a Jurassic World movie. It's a Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movie. You're not exactly there for the plot. You're there to watch the dinosaurs rip things to shreds. It's Fast and Furious in that same regard. But I'm interested. The plot is what it is. You don't go for the story. You go for the action. You go for the suspense. I'm at least intrigued in that the writer said they were able to put some things in this film that he wanted to put in the original but were cut for one reason or another. I'm like, oh, all right. That's at least, intriguing to see. I'll probably end up seeing it, but it shows at least a little bit of promise. Am I saying it's going to be the best film ever made? No, but compared to Dominion, it looks better, and that's not a high bar.
So if you're new to the show, my opinion about Jurassic Park is the same.
He loves it.
If you are stupid enough to go to that island and mess with dinosaurs, you deserve to get eaten alive. And that is the only thing redeeming about this franchise after the first movie.
And I got to say, this franchise is starting to get a little convoluted just because they talk about, this was the original island for the original Jurassic Park. And I'm like, wait a minute, that island got volcanoed in the second Jurassic World movie. We saw it. Everybody cried because the one dinosaur died on the dock. Spoiler alert. So it's got to be the one from, I forget if it was 2 or 3 of the original Jurassic Park movies where that's like, this isn't the main island. This is the one adjacent. So this franchise is starting to get convoluted.
I mean, there's only so many times you can do this. And,
sure.
And granted, I mean, we live in a place of Sharknado and Fast and Furious.
11 films.
Yeah.
And counting.
There's only so much you can do with characters, and especially, this is a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
Humans go to an island. They mess with Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Mother Nature goes prehistoric on them.
Mm-hmm.
End of story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. For me, it's just not my cup of Java.
Sure.
If it's your thing, hey, listen, more power to you. I would say this. With the cast, I would be inclined to go watch this, but you can tell by the sound of my voice, I'm not exactly running to my movie theater to go buy tickets.
Right.
However, if this is your jam, more power to you. I'll be waiting to hear the 3FN review of this. Or, I mean, I don't know, unless we go wind up there. But
I'll probably end up seeing it opening night. Maybe not, but at some point, sure.
Yeah, we'll see. Because, I mean, July is kind of stacked. So
if
I'm not going to go to one movie, this would probably be the one I would pass on because it's just not something I am drawn to.
Speaking of movies that I'm going to be lined up for the day this damn thing comes out, we got an update on the Mobile Suit Gundam live action movie.
Okay.
It's now in production.
Really?
So reading from an article on IGN.com, quote, a live-action film adaptation of the beloved anime and toy franchise Mobile Suit Gundam finally appears to have entered full production with Bandai Namco and Legendary signing an agreement to co-finance it. While the film was announced in 2018, it's barely been heard of since, but this word from Legendary and the newly formed Bandai Namco Filmworks America indicates fans can finally start looking forward to seeing the first ever live-action Gundam film on the big screen. The company's confirmed Mobile Suit Gundam, which currently lacks an official name, will be written and directed by Sweet Tooth's Kim Mickle and released in theaters globally. We do have a bit of a trailer, or not a trailer, poster.
Teaser poster.
Not much to go on, but if you know Gundam, it's going to be amazing. The article goes on to say it will be the first live-action punt for a franchise which has seen 25 anime series, 34 animated films, 27 original anime productions, and more, plus an incredibly popular toy line that combined to pull in more than $900 million a year. Quote, we plan to steadily announce details as they become finalized, Legendary and Bandai Namco said. No release window or plot details were shared, though a teaser poster was released. Mobile Suit Gundam, which began broadcasting in 1979, established the genre of real robot anime that could not be described in terms of simple good and evil, which had been the trend of robot anime up to that point. With realistic depictions of war, detailed scientific examinations, and intricately interwoven human dramas that treated robots as weapons called mobile suits, and caused a huge boom, they added, close quote. So if you have not seen Mobile Suit Gundam, the original series and a whole bunch of them are over on Crunchyroll. Mm-hmm. Some of the newer stuff is over on Netflix. Highly recommend you check out the original series, Mobile Suit Gundam. It is a fantastic series. The dub is incredible, especially considering it came out.
Solid.
It came out in the 70s. The dub came out over here in the States in the 2000s. All things considered, it's an incredible dub. Highly recommend you check it out, but I'm going to be there the week this damn thing opens because I've been a fan of the Mobile Suit franchise since they started airing it on Toonami over here in the States in the late 90s, early 2000s. I cannot wait for this.
This would be a million times better than Jurassic World.
Probably.
Just saying. I'm sorry.
Probably.
See, now you brought the hater out of me.
It doesn't take much.
I know it doesn't.
Lastly, next up we have a little bit of book news. And for those of you who are fans of The Bad Batch, hey, the story's not quite over yet.
Oh.
Because there is a novel coming.
Okay.
Just announced today, reading from the article on StarWars.com. It says, quote, we never got over losing Clone Force 99 when we said goodbye with the series finale of Star Wars The Bad Batch last year. But no one's ever really gone. And today, StarWars.com is pleased to announce that soon, the Batch will be back in action in Star Wars Sanctuary, a Bad Batch novel. A new book from Lamar Gills with an exclusive first look at the book's cover art by Marie Bergeron. The story of Star Wars Sanctuary, set during the events of Season 2 of the Disney Plus series, centers on Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, and Omega as they work with treasure hunter Fee Genoa on a plan to help rebuild their island refuge after the devastating tsunami seen in the episode Pabu. Mm-hmm. Giles, whose young adult novels include Fake ID, Spin, and Not So Pure and Simple, among others, is delighted by the chance to write his first Star Wars novel, having previously contributed to the short story 20 and Out to the From a Certain Point of View Return of the Jedi anthology. Quote, for my entire life, the words "a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away" have represented the stepping off point from our dull everyday reality into a realm of wonder, action, adventure, and joy, Giles tells StarWars.com. There's nothing dull about the work I've been asked to do, and it's certainly not every day I get a chance to help continue such a rich storytelling tradition. I was a Star Wars fan well before I was a Star Wars writer, and I am very grateful for both roles, close quote. So I'm excited about this. Anytime you get to continue one of the fantastic Star Wars series in any form, I am super excited about.
Yeah, I definitely think this looks interesting. I will say that. I mean... Yeah. What can I say? Like, it's the Bad Batch. Where do you go wrong?
Yeah. And then lastly, certainly not leastly, Rising from the Ashes. Didn't have this on my bingo card in 2025. Rooster Teeth is back.
Ooh.
Kinda. So, folks noticed today, or were notified today, that you go to the roosterteeth.com website. You get the logo, although the familiar Joker teeth is missing a tooth there on one side. And it says, under new management. There's a little bit of a video posted, but then it says an announcement. Hi, it says, quote, hiya. Almost 1 year ago, we were saddened to learn that Rooster Teeth would be shutting its doors. Today, I am very happy to say that I have completed an acquisition of the Rooster Teeth brand and many of its remaining properties. The details of all this would be too much to communicate in a letter on a website, so please tune in to the February 5th episode of the Morning Somewhere podcast below if you want to find out more. Or you can check out the press release. There's a lot of work to do around here before our relaunch. In the meantime, I hope that you will join me in welcoming back a brand that has been so important to so many people for so many years. Stay tuned, more to come, close quote. And this is from Bernie Burns, one of the founders of Rooster Teeth. So you go listen to the episode. It's about 10 minutes long. There's a whole entire press release about it. Basically what it boils down to is he bought the remaining, IP of Rooster Teeth. He didn't buy the entire company back. So the various channels, Funhouse, Achievement Hunter, Ruby, what have you, he didn't buy that back. But in terms of like the logo, the name, the website, the social media accounts, the YouTube pages, he bought those back. So what it means going forward, don't know. He says in the podcast that's going to be a plan they have set out for down the road, that they're hoping by, middle part of this year, end of this year, they have a roadmap laid out. They got a couple things they did announce about that they want to do, including, the company that bought it is Box Canyon Productions, which is Bernie Burns' production studio. They announced a new development slate for productions for 2025, including renewed production of some of the platform's classic shows, a new original audio adventure again, and an untitled reimagining of Burns' first film, The Schedule. So, does this mean Red vs. Blue is back? Maybe. Don't know. Does this mean Ruby's coming back? Well, Ruby is already coming back. Ruby was bought by Viz Media and is owned by Viz, and they've already said they're figuring out what they're going to do with this. For anything else, it's a wait and see, but Rooster Teeth is back, at least in some form.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's monstrous.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to see them come back.
Neither was I.
But we'll have to see what they do, but they really got to get the ball running. I think that's the thing, because we've had some things come back in the past, and it's kind of faded out, so it's always tough to say, but I'm excited to see this. So for my one shot this week, this has been a loaded week. We're going to deep dive into Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man next week.
They decided to drop 3 episodes, and we haven't seen them all yet.
Yeah. Time has just not been our side today. But nevertheless, we are here giving you an episode. But one thing that we are definitely going to be discussing is Invincible
Hell
returns.
Yeah, baby.
Yep, so dropping midnight Pacific time here in the States.
Although $10 says it drops at 9 p.m. Eastern, because that's what
I know.
That's what Prime likes to do.
I know, and I'm not mad about that. I'm really not.
Those of you listening, if you're listening to this right after we drop this, like 9:05, go check your Amazon Prime account, Prime Video account, because odds are it'll be up already.
Yes, so we are looking at season 3 of Robert Kirkman's and Ryan Ottley's amazing series, Invincible, in the animation form. So when you think about superhero comics in this day and age, there are few that really rival them to this level. And I think for the adaptation that's been done on the screen, it's been absolutely incredible. And I think they've really nailed this.
Oh, yeah.
Because to think about what they did with Kirkman, Otley, and I forgot about Corey Walker too.
Yeah,
bringing this character to life, and listen, it's unapologetic and how brutal it can be. It really reflects how superheroes are in this day and age. But it's one that really has made its impact, and for the animated show to win over fans and really bring this whole vibe to a new audience, I think is just proving why Invincible is one of the best series that in recent memory.
Yeah, and just real quick, it's the rating or whatever is already, the tomato meter is already out on Rotten Tomatoes for what the critics are saying. 100%.
Oh yeah,
Inverse Looper is on there, comicbook.com, Fandom Wire, Collider, Total Film, IO9, Screen Rant, like all of them have given it glowing praise. The other thing too, and I can't take credit, somebody in our chat for Nerd Initiative pointed this out, and I have to agree with them. I'm kind of pissed this isn't a live action show, because the cast for the show already incredible, but the folks they've added for season 3, fucking insane. So for season 3, they added Aaron Paul, Jesse from Breaking Bad, Simu Liu, fucking Shang-Chi, Jonathan Banks, from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, Kate Mara, House of Cards teacher, a long list of other things. Zolo Mariduna from Cobra Kai and Blue Beetle. John freaking DiMaggio.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Z Ma from The Farewell and Kung Fu. Doug Bradley from the Hellraiser franchise.
Who?
And Christian Convery from Sweet Tooth and Cocaine Bear, the greatest film of all time. Like, this cast is insane.
Yeah, no,
and
this
it's an
cast is
animated,
loaded.
and it's an animated.
This cast
series.
is completely loaded, so I mean, it does make sense. Doing this though in live action, I think might be a little more difficult.
Oh, sure.
So I can understand why.
I'm just angry we have a cast list this loaded and it's animated.
Well, you never know. I mean, we could see this make the jump to live action. I don't think it's ever going to, but listen, I'm not mad about seeing this on Amazon. So we'll definitely be recapping next week here on the show So make sure you're watching Amazon Prime this week.
Absolutely.
Because you got to watch something after New Comic Book Day.
Hey.
And here we are. So, Pat, what you picking up this week?
Picking up this week from the folks, both of them from the folks over at Marvel, you've got the Ultimates issue number 9 from Dennis Camp. This one, oh my Lord, another origin story issue, but this one, a fantastic origin this week because the one, the only Power Man, a.k.a. Luke Cage, makes his debut in this issue.
Nice.
And much in the same way as Peter Parker did, he didn't have his powers, although he does get them in this issue, and it is quite possibly one of the most interesting origin stories I've seen in recent history. It's incredible. You're going to want to pick this issue up. A lot of good stuff happening over with the Ultimates.
Dennis Camp is crushing it right now, and he has another monster book. Well, first he has Absolute Martian Manhunter coming out, so we do know that. He has another one that's coming to Image that I guarantee you is going to be on like the best of your list. So, like I say, if you're not following his stuff, go check it out, and I'll even give a plug. If you really want an intense read and you haven't checked it out yet, 20th Century Men.
Yeah. He also, I don't want to say who it is, but he also, I don't think this character had been introduced before, but he sneaks in, at least to me, it was another character introduction, and I'm like, oh, you sneaky devil. Got me real excited when I saw this one. I'll tell you off air who it was.
Okay.
I saw who that was, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
The other one you got to pick up, because this one, incredible, yet again, from Charles Soule. Star Wars: The Legacy of Vader, issue number 1. Description on this one: Darth Vader's shadow extends into the rise of the First Order. The reign of Supreme Leader Kylo Ren begins. Kylo's dark obsession leads him to Mustafar. What secrets does Fortress Vader hold for the young tyrant, and what face from the past will guide him on his quest? So this one takes place literally like minutes or maybe an hour after The Last Jedi ends. So it's set between those two films. It's interesting to see the start of this issue because it's a little bit of like the fallout from Last Jedi that you go, okay, what happened in between there and Rise of Skywalker? There is one particular panel in this issue from that little aspect of things that made my jaw drop, that like, oh my God, Charles went there. And then the other part of it is the Mustafar side of things. I love everything about this issue because you're getting to see the anger of Kylo and just really what drives him from those moments in the film where he just wrecks everything and gets pissy and destroys everything. Like why he's doing it, what it is, and kind of what motivates him. And this is going to be going some places and Charles is swinging for the fences, and man, he's hitting home runs. This series is going to be incredible. If it's not on your poll list, add it right now.
Yeah, no, this one's got a lot of interest.
Issue 2 is the one everyone's been talking about the last couple of weeks. There was a moment that I think was released for press reasons involving Vader and his past. I'll just say that for those of you who haven't seen it. Not in this issue, but it's going to be in issue 2, and that's going to be the one everyone's talking about next week.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have
or next, not next week, next month.
Yeah, we'll definitely be covering that when that comes out. No doubt about that. For me, heavy DC Comics week. DC, all in. I'm loving the movement. And leading off my list, this is a bittersweet one for me. We are talking Batman 157, Chip Zdarsky, Jorge Jimenez. Tony Daniels also jumping in to help out with the art for this one. This is the end of Zdarsky and Jimenez's run. After 32 issues, which is crazy in this day and age that like we're seeing a team work that long, because usually we see re-ups, we see whatever.
Right.
So what they did with this run is really took Batman into some places. And this issue ends the Dying City storyline with, you want to talk about leaving it all on the field. You want to talk about don't leave anything behind. They literally drop the Riddler, Court of Owls, and the KG Beast.
Good Lord.
And you're literally going, what the holy is going on? And this issue is damn near perfect. I'm just going to say that it is one I think everybody should go check out, because it's going to be a while before Batman comes back. I believe this back in mid-March.
Oh, wow.
And this is Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee coming back.
Oh, shit.
So this is going to be Hush too.
Oh, boy.
So you understand why they're leaving.
Oh, boy.
But it's bittersweet, but it's Hush too.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Leaving it at that moment, but I'm just going to say this.
Talk about a mic drop.
Yeah, if you have not read Zdarsky and Jimenez's run, go do yourself a favor and do it. I know he went some places with the character. I know there's a few moments that I was like, I don't know if I dig this, but when he really got down to it, like he really brought something out of Bruce Wayne that I really think is going to leave a lasting impression. And how they wrapped up the storyline. This was absolutely an insane final story involving Jim Gordon too. Like I'm going to tell you what, I'm not looking at Jim Gordon the same way again. That's how much I think they really dived into the heart of Gotham City and really made their impression felt. Like they're etched their place in the history books. So definitely go check that out. Like I said, I'm botching my words because I'm trying to think of like enough praise to give this book. That's how damn good it was. Also, Absolute Superman #4. So this is the continuation of the new life of Kal-El in the Absolute Universe. Jason Aaron, Rafa Sandoval, really going some places with this. Very good story. Definitely one that will catch longtime Superman readers off guard. Last page is definitely going to draw some emotions out, so definitely go check that out. Also, Justice League The Atom Project.
Wow.
So this is one that I'm going to say right now. It's a very acquired read, I would say. In the sense of it's going some places. It's definitely different. It's one that I think really is going to test some buttons with what they do with it. So you definitely want to make sure you check that out if you want to find out about a little backstory that's going on in the DC universe. Last but certainly not least for DC, JSA #4. So focusing on Dr. Midnight. Very cool story happening here. And it's straightforward superheroes. I mean, what can you say about that? It's so straightforward. It does its job. It absolutely hits the mark. So you definitely want to go check that out. Last but certainly not least, Grimm #21, Boom Studios. The best team in comics, in my opinion, doing fantastic work. Stephanie Phillips, Flaviano, Rico Renzi, and Tom Napolitano freaking crushing this book. Absolute amazing issue. If you haven't checked out Grimm, I don't know what you're waiting for. Get into it and get going on it because it's absolutely incredible. And for more comic reviews, nerdinitiative.com is the place to be. Over 30 on the website right now, so definitely go check it out and get your picks for what you need to get on New Comic Book Day. That being said, that is it for this week. So for the one only Padawan Jay.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.